Well, good morning, folks. So here's that video I promised you, the long version. So starting out on the road here just to see how things have turned out through this season on our water control, which, well, on the whole is working, but we have to reinforce our water chutes to push. We got to solidify this more. I need some finer material. We got to compact and fortify this a bit more. Anyways, so this is how it's looking, and there's places, as we say, the ongos. You can't avoid the, well, if you start trying to finish something this big, put sealer on it, I mean, that's like a never-ending battle. Um, we've done that in, obviously our expensive finishings here, all our edge and whatnot, we've treated those with the sealer. They're done here, so that would start up. Well, not surprisingly, our bamboo is growing there, and got back to the gardener there to see what we're going to put up here other than, well, everything we have here is nicely volunteered. Anyways, but sort of give a view from this position. Anyways, just step down here. I mean, the lower one is gutted much worse from the season's rain. So we gotta get some finer material up to reinforce this one and build it up, because right now it's not kicking the water off of the road and getting into the gutter, which is of course the entire idea, of course, but nothing like, if you want to call it, letting Mother Nature show you whether you got it right or not. Anyways, well, needless to say, our Coito palm is growing quite nicely. Well, and this was give you an idea of our 45-degree cuts to wrap the moly hone around the columns. Okay, hopefully I got enough space on my phone to finish this this video off, but anyways, well, I think we've pretty much exhausted the discussions on the finish and the cedro. Something I use well, I haven't seen anybody else in this country use an airless paint sprayer. Everybody still is in the old days, well, antique days. I've been using an airless paint sprayer for, well, roughly 40 years. Any rate, because the thing is, it's a hydraulic 3,000 psi pump, and therefore you don't get all this air and overspray that comes with it. So, and well, that is important, because when you get wood stock way the hell up in the air like that, just what you need is a rough texture for the spiders to start making their homes. So smoother for cleaning. This is a nice smooth finish, in this product, the Sherwin-Williams, is what they call polyester. It's a new kid in the block. Is really a hell of a good product. Dries really fast with the catalyzer that comes with it. So, well, and that's a big secret to that finish is, it's overspray, and the time that anything has to settle in your finish after it's sprayed. So faster drying, the better. So anyway, so this is all we're cutting this out. This is your bird's mouth for the rafter. Cutting that out with well, with the handsaw and with the good old multi-use. I'm sure you're familiar with all of those. So here's the other bird's mouth at the other end. This is a rafter that's going over top of bedroom number 4. Pieces that we've cut off, and our super duper boss miter saw here that, well, it's one of a kind. Anybody else that does this, I don't know if you've seen these things working, but you know, it has this amazing hinge system. Everybody else uses these roll bars for the heads to roll on. Well, in our rusty environment, that is just a, well, and that's all I've not touched it. I haven't fixed the thing on it, and it's been at work now 5 years. But as rare as hen's teeth in this country. Now, our back work, when you see, even when we get into, I mean, even with this stone being sealed, we still got some mongo starting to grow back here, because of course this isn't, you know, a great airflow area here. So the well, that'd give you an idea without what it would be like without sealing. And then of course our water chute running off into the jungle there. And I think that, yeah, I rephotoed this before, these stairs, because I mean, because we got so much fill here, well, I was just noticing, well, we were hoping that we had enough, but I mean, we set this on piling so the darn thing would stay. We're down into the virgin soil there, so it stays where the hell it's put. But I was just noticing we got some with this this geo. This was supposed to stop this hillside from disappearing on us. Well, if we hadn't have done this, I mean, God forbid where we'd be at. But you know, we've got kind of a walking path here underneath this. But I see a bunch of dirt showing up there, so even with this all covered in, we still have, I can feel where our walkway that was underneath here is turned pretty mushy at this time of the year. Yeah, that's where that dirt is coming from. But well, I guess we'll just see what God decides to do with this. There's not anything. He basically did every trick we know of as to how to sustain this. So this may have to be lifted and reworked as God takes care of compacting this naturally. But you can imagine if we hadn't have covered it, it would literally all be down there, because we dumped a lot of material here. I mean, before we had quite a cavern here, so we filled that in, plus we had a shitload of material up here to get rid of. So anyways, those I mean, this is quite a trek getting this big terrace to drain. We've tried to keep a gentle slope on this so that it will drain on its own. So it's going to take some more massaging with the thin set mortar when we put the floor down here, for certain. But hope we got it under control. The idea is that, you know, it will drain off in the night, and the next day you get up and you don't have a lake on your doorstep. But anyways, well, so, yeah, because we had the tarp covering all of this before, but we needed it to create our extra, well, particularly we needed a place to spray there, because the thing is, I found We don't, um, it's not good to pre-finish rafters, bigger items, and move them around because it's just too easy to get them marked up. So these we all finished up here. They came in raw. Now I've got some up at the, guys are working today in my bodega with, well, all the stuff I took a picture of the other day up at the sawmill, well, now is down in my bodega and they're working there. We're just putting stain on, sanding it and getting the stain on it so it's ready to go. That's the next shot of, well, the beams and the heavier beams and the long sucking rafters for the entry and for bedroom 1. But there we're just going to put the stain on it, and then it'll ship down here with the rest of the material. That should be ready this, hopefully Wednesday. And then we spray it here so there's less chance of it getting dinged up. Now all of the mountain of tablilla, the tongue and groove for this roof, is being done up in the bodega. But that's much smaller piece, so we just bundle that up and it'll come down, well, either on my roof or my trailer or in the truck, whatever. But it's a lot of finishing, to put it mildly. And our screws are working famously well. I'm actually quite shocked at just how well those screws do work, considering they're boring through 6 inches of hardwood, not bloody pine. But in those impacts are an incredible tool. Jesus, you know, you can't even dream of driving a screw like that with a drill. But anyways, oh well, since we were going to cover everything off, we had a heavy dose of rain last night. I don't know, I quizzed Tom today and he said it was 1.3 inches, but it's not, and Tom is, well, up that way at the end of the road in the Perla project. Anyways, so, well, our water collects in our infinity reserve here, which until there's a pump in, I have to siphon it out or pump it out. But anyways, we haven't hooked up the waterfall, so the water actually filled up and came in there last night. But anyways, so these, well, all of this grass, we basically rescued it from around the project. And well, we even actually had some washout here down there. Now that is not our doing. I'm sorry. As the famous Costa Rican says, no es mi culpa. What we did not do that. That's in the Department of God. Because we didn't dump anything. You know, we dumped there. We dumped zero there. We had there was no way of accessing it. In front of the pool here, zero. There was no dumping here either. There was over in that corner where we had access with the backhoe, but here there was no access, so it just washed out for whatever. It's been sitting there for years, and it just, in one heavy shot, it did its thing. Anyways, so we're waiting for this to dry a little bit so we can finish that stucco down there, but that gives you a good handle on the, and then of course keeping this the pure white with that epoxy so that it won't degrade. It should, well, I don't know what else you can do, anything that's any better than, you know, a waterfall where the water is running over basically 24/7. So that expense epoxy was the idea of something that should be the most resistant possible to do that. And we put a little hill here so as the water doesn't kick over at the edge and wash down. So it basically goes from side to side minus about 4 inches on each end. Anyways, well, it's a fairly elegant setup for just a pool entry, but anyways, and here we used up a lot of the small pieces of the moly hone. Is what we used to get there. Actually, in one of the truckloads, I don't have enough. We don't have enough moly hone for the front of the house. What I ordered, we used it, basically all of it, on the garden and the walls. Anyways, hopefully my battery will outlast. Okay, well, this is the styrofoam that will go up in the above the tongue and groove to counteract conductive heat coming down from the roof, or pardon me, not conductive heat from, or cold from going out from the air conditioning. So that goes in all the air conditioned areas. There's nothing. Well, there's a. Well, anyways, wow, we're moving in. So okay, so there, Jeffrey just put up the. Because we were kind of lucky with the size of the house, and we managed to. I don't like having little snake caverns, so we, whenever we can get a rafter to kiss the wall, that looks by far the best. And we've actually been quite fortunate to keep our rafter spacing and have that effect at the same time. To give you an idea, there's how your step down in the roof. Interrupt the guy's music here. I have to yell at you a little bit, well, let's prep for the AC unit. Okay, this has got, well, we've got the rough coats of stucco here pretty much in the whole house. This here has just the impermeable with the silica sand thrown in it to leave it very gritty, so that our Bondex will stick to that nicely to hold the tile in place. So that's kind of at a standstill until we get them damn taps moving from Home Depot there. Anyways, now hopefully the electrician's going to be coming in here next week. We got to get all our ceiling work done and all the wire pulled now that we have it. So what we still have, we have to do all this infill between the rafters. That's what all this pine is for, is basically making boxes up there between the two rafters. That box, and that sustains the rafters, or plus fills it in, and then we carry our stucco off so that it wraps right around the rafter. Anyway, so it makes that all one solid uniform unit, as per se. So yeah, I just went down and picked those up from the mill yesterday. And basically what we do is we create a box out of the pine, and then a piece of the panel. That's what most of these piles here, I've gradually distributed much of the junk down for the Muni to pick up at the garbage. Most of this is going to convert into the 100 meters, well, 330 feet of all of this infill that goes in what they call tapachels. The infill that goes in here between the rafters, and that's being the front and the back wall, and also the interior walls here, like all of this, and this whole, that all has to be filled in. Well, certainly to trap your air conditioning. Anyways, so we've carried our mesh up that far, so we have to finish, well, we need our rafters in place, do our infill, and then we can finish the stucco going up. Now this, we've got a good start here on the finish coat of stucco going on in there. Oh, he's sanding the walls, knocking, if you want to call it, the lumps and anything off of there, so it's ready for the fine coat. I don't know if you can, well, I think we can get, well, okay, so here's the natural grit of the base stucco, which is, I think you can see, yeah, you can see how gritty it is. Well, we want that outside for our acrylic to stick to it good. But that, if you paint it, that's your finished coat. You know, you can see this hasn't been sanded at all. You can see that how it's got a pretty heavy texture to it, which is quite common here with guys with concrete, but that's not what I like, and same with you. But anyways, so that's what he's doing. Okay, hopefully 3 times the charge. Ran out of space again. Well, while I was charging the battery, this is one of the cuts off the end of the rafters, and so I kind of like to do a check on these. Just to see how the laminations are. So, you know, when you take a particular piece like this with short little pieces, not much lamination space, and then you just sort of check to see, you know, if you break it, that it breaks in the wood or breaks in the lamination. But that's something that kind of, but as you can see on this, even and there's a break, but notice it's not in the lamination, it's in the wood. Of course, being the fine, you know, it's a little easier to break when it's that thin. But anyways, it's something to pay attention to there as to how good the press is getting stuff laminated. I mean, well, to say the least, it's likely important. Anyways, back here, okay, so when I got cut off and yammered on for about 5 minutes before I realized the phone had quit. Anyway, so this is just getting, well, sanded, basically knocking off all that. But Delvin is here putting that finished stucco on. But you can see that this is pretty fine. We'll still sand this, of course, before it gets painted. But it ends up pretty close to a drywall finish. But one thing you want to comment on, I don't know if you paid attention to, there's a project above the right at Escaleras above the Hotel Cuna de Angel. When you head up there, Axiom has one of their projects. Those are over $400,000 condos, and they used Coventec, which is styrofoam with a mesh around it, and then it's all concrete cap over top of it. So they did that in exterior walls, but nothing inside the unit is all steel stud and sheetrock, gypsum, gyprock, whatever the hell you want to call it. And I says, for that kind of money, what a shitty product. Because I mean, you know, it's covered in paper. Oh shit, yeah, and our jungle mold and lichens don't like paper much, right? Oh, and we have another thing here called, they call them polillo. What they are is a very fine termite. And we found this in a house up in Guanacaste. We had a little blister in the paint. We opened up the blister and we found out the whole wall was just like this, a whole wall, skin of paint just hanging in front of it. There was no freaking paper behind it because they'd gone in behind and eaten all of the celluloid and left a skin of paper hanging on the whole wall. So to say I don't think much of that approach is to put it mildly. And of course, if you leave a place unattended, and not air conditioning running, lowering the humidity, which right now, I mean, today our humidity is probably around, 75%. I mean, we have seen it hit. My record when we were in Escaleras was one November, it was 92%. I mean, that was an exceptional stretch, but I mean, I have seen, and I had a humidistat up there, anyways, and so that's not an estimation. That's what it read in the job site, 92 freaking percent. So very important. And then, of course, the other fact is, you know, we're talking paint on top of paper as compared to stucco. You know, the hardness of that finish is like, I don't know how many levels up in the scale, that the Rockwell scale, as to how much harder this is, and of course what effect that has on the, you know, in the long-term use of the house. So anyways, well, these long rafters are up in the other shop today being started on. So it needs to get this in here because our tarp is a little bit short, so it's a little difficult to keep this dry when we get hammered on. So looking forward to getting that up here so we can get some support up there and stop that. Anyways, moving on, what other curious items? Just a little detour here, something that needs to go back to the house. Anyways, that's one frickin' long hallway, folks. You can go bowling in it. But anyways, so as it were, but she's clouding in. I got a funny feeling we're gonna have a wet afternoon. Well, look at that. You know, it'll hang around up in that mountain ridge there, but when it's like that, that's why they're moving the saw in. I got a funny feeling it's going to get wet out here in the next hour. Anyways, don't know that I mentioned that to you before, but that's not actually a stain that we put on the wood. It's actually a wood finish. It's called Duran's. It's a natural oil system with tint added to it. So well, it's easy to work with, and it penetrates well, better than most of the actual stains do that can often provide rather phony looks and finishes. But anyways, now here you see, well, we pushed all of this. This is all fresh stuff up here. Now it stayed, but you know, it's also a much shorter run, of course. But and this we cleaned up just, well, in order to fill this in, and this we used all. This is, well, I sent you the pictures. This is all scrap panels that we used up to hide that ugly foundation there. So just need to get some color on it here. Anyways, and that's where the plastic is. Okay, that's, I put a, you know, if somebody summertime wants to grow something, I mean, you could grow vegetables up here for, and so that's, oh, okay, so they did put the a tap in. Well, we ran a line over here. That there is the automatic, will be, that hose coming out is the automatic filler. So it basically, it fills the infinity reserve, and then the pump takes it up and moves it around. Anyways, oh yeah, look at the wind is starting to come up, so we know. So same thing with all of this was set on. These are all in piling, so this stays where the heck it's put. And well, we have to be careful with these. We've got the sealer on all of these, so that, or otherwise they would just turn into something. Okay, well, oh no, we haven't. Well, this is the bat cave. Don't know how far we were in here the other day because we're, yeah, right. Anyways, because we're hooking, now that we got enough PEX, we're running the water lines to go from the jets into the pump through our bat cave. Just had to chase out 6 bats to get in there. But we've got to put screen on that door because, of course, they love, that's the bat Hilton. So they certainly love it there, to put it mildly. And well, if I'd have turned the lights on, I'm sure there was some hanging around, to put it mildly. I think we're running out of stuff. Comment, oh, there's a feud going on down below us here. Because the guy who says he owns this property over the other side, the road cuts right through his lot and it comes up to the edge of this road. And he says he's got survey maps for it. And Jaime, being a lawyer, of course he wouldn't try to steal something, would he? All of a sudden, when this guy shows up and says, hey, that's my property, I got maps for it. And Jaime's saying, no, that's mine. He moves the goddamn fence over. So now, somebody has somebody camping here to guard this. I suspect it's this guy who says he owns it versus the lawyer who thinks he owns it. But, at any rate, well, that's our pad to hold the air conditioning heads. See, look at this corner here. You know, we've had stucco on there maybe a month, a little bit better, but you get into a corner here where there isn't real good air movement. That's what you get if you leave anything that's concrete base out in those conditions. That's what you get. Anyways, so our garden recycle garbage area, and of course this, just noticed the guys didn't cap this off. This has got to be capped off, our water service area. Anyways, well, I told you we were going to get the dollar tour, so, but just in 3 editions. So while I've been entertaining you, guys are moving on. Of course, the multi-use is a godsend for this type of cutting bird's mouth and stuff like this. Oh yeah, there the rain is. Don't wait an hour. The rain has already started. That's we batten down. Anyways, so yeah, we got rafters going in. Because these, well, there's one that passes right through here, so that's like, well, that's certainly a full length one. And these ones stop where they get joined together over the wall. Because, I mean, structurally and practical, no visible joints, everything is hidden away. Where make a joint above a wall, I mean, structurally it's got some place to sit and for us to screw down into. Because here you've got that one ending there. So there's one of those big honking screws going down into the top plate. Well, then there'll be a piece here with, you know, bird's mouth there, another one up there, and another screw going down there. And then when we put in that infill there, that hides all of that connection. That's where that pine will go. And also we screw those 2 pieces together, hold those 2 pieces together while holding the infill at the same time. So making it all quite, I mean, you can even see the billowing of the roof here. As soon as that wind starts coming up off the ocean there, boy, this thing's like a huge mothering kite. bars that we're cutting the pine up that will hold all of those. But you know, see that one's done. This one's not too bad. This one turned out relatively close to the wall, but I mean, you know, when you start getting little things like, as I said, like snake caves, I mean, it looks like shit. And how do you clean anything up there? Well, whereas this one, of course, that's kissing the wall with her step down on the roof, of course, and that is screwed into the wall as well, so it's nice, nice tight join. Anyways, well, this is a record for giving you a real, you know, you have to excuse all the background noise, but I mean, I think, yeah, rather damp out. Done just in time. So those are a 1x5, so we're cutting them down to get our 4-inch, because it's a full 4-inch piece that fits, you know, what fits in here is a full 4-inch piece of wood there. But yeah, well, see that plastic we've had up there to stop this wind from blowing, rain blowing in, but you can see this plastic is, first of all, it's not black anymore, and so it basically turns it into polvo in relatively short order. And see, here's our complicated sanders. Just a piece of moly hone, and you pass that over a wall to sand it down. It comes at great expense. But, well, so what did I say? That was 5 minutes ago. I said, well, it's going to happen within an hour. Well, I was a little underestimated. But, anyways, now see the tarp billowing up. Anyways, but gives you an idea of nice, true wall. The guys are pretty good at this, way in the hell better than I am, that's for sure. But they've had a bit more practice. Anyways, so, well, I think that's time to call it the construction Saturday tour, dollar tour. Till another day, folks.